Welcome to Cash Chats with me, Andy Webb from BeCleverWithYourCash.com. This is a podcast to help you make the most of your money. Episode 353, I'll be sharing how you can make potentially £2,000 in 2024 with very little effort. I'll take you through all of those step by step in this episode. Plus, as ever, my deals of the week right at the end of the show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's waste no more time. It's episode 353 of Cash Chats. So there are a number of ways you can make a little bit of extra money this year, and you will see that covered all over the shop. In fact, just at the end of last year, I did a whole video and article looking at the best money-making apps. So if you're interested about those, do look at that. But I don't want to focus on these side hustles, these extra things that you could be doing that do require a bit more effort. I want to focus on some things here which are relatively simple. They take a small bit of time, 10 minutes of admin maybe once when you first do it, and then it will just repeat constantly for the rest of the year. Or it's a change, it's a very slight change in how you do something, which will bring you an extra cash in as the year goes on. Now, if you are new to the podcast and new to this kind of sort of thing that I cover here, then maybe there's a lot of stuff here. You might be able to not just reach this 2,000 I'm going to talk about, you may well surpass it because you're brand new, and a lot of these sort of special offers and things could be really, really, really lucrative. Some of you may have been doing these for a while, so that 2,000 figure may be lower for you. Well, hopefully, I'm pitching it that kind of in between. So the majority of you, hopefully, I'm thinking if you do all these things, these simple changes, these simple little actions, you may be able to get $2,000 by the end of this year. But just be clear there, right from the beginning, that some of you, if you're already doing some of these things, it could be a bit lower. Or you might be know about it, but little hacks that maybe boosted that a little bit more for you, so you get that little bit of extra cash. So if I'm not focusing on side hustles, I'm not focusing on apps or eBay or any of these kind of things you might want to do, or some people tell you, start your own blog and start your own YouTube channel, all these things. Now, what I'm talking here about, very specifically, two different areas. You won't be surprised if you're a regular listener to the show. I'm talking here about things you can do with your bank and things you can do with your spending. Very, very kind of simple and kind of dedicated here, but it should hopefully pay some dividends to you. The first one I talk about, and again, a lot of you I'm sure will know about this, but if you haven't, it's so good. It's going to make you some nice bit of cash here. This is switching your bank. Now, at the time of recording this episode, at the start of January, there is only one bank switching offer available. It's £175 from First Direct. As the year goes on, we will see more. It always happens like this in cycles, ups and downs. Based on last year, we could even have a couple of offers in the next couple of weeks, but you never know. Banks will do things differently all the time. But if you have never switched bank before, something completely new to you, or maybe you've only done it once or twice, then I wouldn't be surprised if you could easily get £500 to £600 this year. I'm going to say £550 based on 3 switches, ranging between £175 and £200 when you do that. I do think that is very, very, very plausible, very reasonable for people who haven't done it before, or so have only done 1 or 2. Of course, if you've done quite a few of them, and I know so many of you have found me and come to me for the channel because of those switching deals, which I do cover extensively here on the podcast, on the YouTube channel, and also over on BeCleverWithYourCash.com, then you may have already done quite a few. But again, okay, maybe not, but the rest of you, so easy to do it. Now, I'm going to do a special looking exclusively about bank switching here on the pod sometime this month or next, because I realize I've not covered it for quite a long time. So some of those basic steps you need to take, but also some of the things that you can do to prepare yourself, get yourself ready for those switching deals that come along. And then when you're looking at repeating these switching deals, how you can be essentially a pro bank switcher. So I'm not going to cover them in this episode, but again, I have got a whole video on the YouTube channel, a whole article on BeCleverWithYourCash.com. If you can't wait for that special episode of the podcast, check those out, and they'll give you some tips on things you can do, such as opening up a dummy current account so you don't have to switch your main current account, having some direct debits, some cheap, quick direct debits already set up on those dummy accounts, so you're ready to switch them as you go along. So again, I'll cover that all in more detail because I think we could spend a whole episode looking at that. But that's number one. Absolutely be prepared to and do bank switching. And again, if you are new to this, okay, I'll do that episode in a few weeks' time, but don't be scared about it. There are protections in place. I guarantee the current account switching service guarantee, which means things can't go wrong. And if they do go wrong, you'll be compensated. But I mean, I've never really had anything go wrong. I've switched so many times over the years. When the last time something did go wrong on a switch was probably 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago now, 2013, when switches first came into play. So I think you're going to be absolutely fine. A really, really big one there. And potentially say, I reckon that could be worth easily £550 just for that money, that cash incentive you get for switching. Now, the next level here is something maybe you haven't done as much. You may, if you've done switching, you might have not done this next one. And this is opening up additional current accounts. Sometimes you might have switched into them, but sometimes you just open this up as an extra account, okay? So you don't have to switch to get some of these extra offers. Open additional accounts to get the rewards that come with them. And this is, again, one of those where you might have to do a little bit of admin when you first apply for that account and when you first set up some of the requirements to get this money. But once you've done that, it can be relatively low maintenance. Maybe once a month you have to go in and take some actions. I'll talk a little bit more detail about those in a second. This is specific reward current accounts, opening these up. Now, there are a number of them out there which will pay you something. They are, on the whole, ones probably not worth looking at, like Co-op, TSB. I wouldn't faff around with them. The requirements you need to get this monthly reward, they're not low maintenance. Talk about here making these things easy things to do. And I don't think it's worth it for the sake of £1 or £5 a month on those particular accounts. You've then got your sort of middle ground, the NatWest or RBS reward accounts, which, again, relatively simple. Once you've opened them up and you get them running every single month, then the money coming in, maybe 20 quid a year, 26, something like that. It's not a huge amount. Again, not too fussed about that. The two accounts I think you should be looking at opening, I say two types of accounts. There's actually 4 accounts that I want you to open in total, okay? Are the Club Lloyds current account and the Halifax Reward current account. We'll talk about the Club Lloyds account first of all, because it's the easiest one to do. This one, when you open up the account, and as long as you pay £2,000 into that account every single month. Now, that can be in one go. It can be in smaller amounts, okay? You could pay £500 in, take that £500 out, put the same £500 back into the account, back out, back in, basically so it adds up to £2,000 has gone into that account, but you've only actually used £500. And in fact, that money, when it is in there, however you put the money in there, doesn't need to stay in there. So literally your money can go into there and then it could transfer out straight away to a different account that also requires a minimum input. Probably the Halifax one we're going to in a minute. That's what I do. I have money goes in and it cycles to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. Do that, and the £3 monthly fee is wiped out. Okay, so this account will be free. Okay, very simple to do, but you do that, account costs you nothing. In return, you get a lifestyle benefit, and there are a number of different options here. My top pick was a year's free Disney Plus. However, they changed that late last year. You now get the advert version, so Disney Plus with adverts, which is worth less than the old version. It's worth $4.99 a month, so 60 quid a year. Nothing to turn your nose up at, but do you actually want Disney Plus with adverts? Could you be better off just paying for the full price one, but do it for 6 months of the year so you get a bit more for it, but you don't necessarily need it every single month. So you could still look at that, but I think potentially now the better options may be 6 cinema tickets. It's View or Odeon, so as long as one of those cinemas are near you. Those tickets, if you're using them at a weekend when it's harder to get discounts, they could easily be worth 10 quid, if not more. Obviously, every cinema is different. It might be that your local View charges £5 all the time, in which case those 6 tickets are only worth 30 quid. Again, really easy to get this freebie. I'm giving that value of 50 to 60 quid. Let's say 50 quid, right? Let's say 50 quid on that, on the lower end on that one, based on some of the different options you might get. But again, it could be worth more. Your cinema is 15 quid a month, a ticket, which it could be. Unlikely, but could be worth even more. So that's a nice, easy one to get. It is an account which often has a switching deal. You can't get that switching deal if you've had a Halifax switching deal in the past and vice versa. So one of those accounts you want to go for. But generally speaking, you're able to get this as an existing customer. So because rules can change, but I would not necessarily wait until a switching deal comes along for this one if you want to get it. Although saying that, there could be a Halifax or a Lloyd switch, I would imagine, at some point in the next couple of months. So maybe it's getting that and then getting the other bank from the other account after that. So that's the first reward account I would go for. The other one is the Halifax reward account, as mentioned. And this one is slightly more complicated, but still relatively low maintenance. This is £5 reward every single month or a cinema ticket. I'm saying £5 a month, so that account is worth 60 quid a year. However, you can get 3 of these accounts. So that could mean you get 180 quid a year from this account by having 3 of them. So really, really nice and lucrative. Incidentally, you can get a joint Club Lloyds account as well. So if you have someone you can open that up with, you could get even more of that. But I'm not factoring this in here because if you don't have a partner, that won't count. But again, potentially, if you did have Club Lloyds, you could get 3 accounts between you. That could be cinema tickets, could be Disney Plus, and it could be a magazine subscription or whatever it might be. Anyway, back to Halifax Rewards. The Halifax Rewards account, there are requirements for this one. Again, you have to pay money in. It's £1,500 every single month. Do that, you avoid the fee. But like the Club Lloyd's one, the money can come in and out. It doesn't need to stay there. But you also, with this one, there's an additional requirement. And when you first sign up, in order to trigger that reward, monthly reward, you have to choose one of two methods to get it. One of them is to have £5,000 saved in that account every single month. Do not do this one. This one is not a good option for you because it works out the equivalent of like 1%, 1.2% interest. That is really, really poor. You want the other option, which is to spend £500 on the debit card every month. Now, if you might think that's fine, I could spend £500. If I've got 3 accounts, I can spend £1,500. That's fine. Just got to remember which card I'm using. However, there is another workaround where you don't have to even do that. Again, I've detailed this in a separate video over on the YouTube channel and a separate article on becleveryourcash.com. So do check those out for more information on this. But effectively, what you're doing is you're using your Halifax debit card to add money to a different account. So effectively, you're paying yourself. This could be a Revolut current account. It could be a Monzo current account. It could be an NSNI savings account. It could be a CHIP savings account. You could be, and we'll come back to this in a minute, paying off a cashback credit card. So a number of ways you can do this, which again, early in the month, first or second of the month, whatever it might be, you add the money in. It's already there. You've transferred the money in to meet that balance. And then that £500, do that 3 ways. It's still your money. You can take it back at any point. It's not going to cost you anything for literally 5 minutes of admin every single month, 180 quid a year. So really, really lucrative. Well worth looking at that. Now, the next one is earning cash back on your spending. Already mentioned cashback credit cards. That isn't the only way to do it, but we're focused on that first of all. This one, I'm sure many of you know this already. And this is why I think, again, really, really simple things to do. Once you have a qualifying debit or credit card that gives cash back, every time you spend on it, well, I say every time, almost every time you spend on it, you'll get money back. And that will really, really, really add up. Again, I will have got a roundup over on the website looking at all the different cashback options right now and reward cards as well. But the top ones really to consider here are the Chase debit card. So this is a Chase current account. You open it up, and then as long as you pay £500 into that account, then the following month you're able to earn 1% cash back on spending of up to £1,500. So that basically means every single month you can earn £15 back over a year, 180 quid. Now, of course, that is assuming you spend £1,500. Some of you will not do that, but I'm assuming you're going to, and potentially you might spend more than that. Let's say £15 every single month, and most things will count towards it. It won't count towards paying off debts. It won't count towards gambling. It won't count towards buying a car. Normal spending, your everyday spending. And this is about your normal spending, just changing the card you pay with. That could be worth 180 quid. Now, that is not the only option. There are a number of credit cards, and there are benefits with that. I can speak about those quite often. And as long as you're doing your normal spending and you clear the balance every single month, you're not going to get charged interest. There are cards there that pay 1% as well. So you might want to look at the Amex Nectar card. Now, this does pay you in Nectar points, so you've got to be happy to spend that in Sainsbury's, Argos, eBay, places like that. But you do that, that 1% isn't even capped every single month. So you might be able to say if you spend more than £1,500, then you will get more beyond that. Now, that has a fee in year 2 almost, but at least for 1 year, that card will be free. And in fact, if you go via a cashback site or refer a friend link, you even get paid more for that. I've not factored that into my calculations here, but again, very, very easy for the bulk of your spending, Chase and an Amex Nectar between them, for you to be earning 1% on most, if not all, of your spending. You might even be able to get a bit more than that. The John Lewis and Partnership credit card, for example, gives you 1.25% on shopping at Waitrose or John Lewis. So if you go to them regularly, then you'll get a little bit more on top of that. Again, lots of things to think about. But there's another area where if you are new to these, I'm going to add another amount in here to how much you can make this year. And that is because many of the American Express credit cards will give you a welcome bonus. Now, assuming you haven't had a Amex credit card in your name in the last 2 years, this is the general rule. There are a couple of exceptions, but the general rule, you are eligible for one of these welcome bonuses. And these range from £100 to potentially worth something like maybe, once you work out, take into account fees and stuff, you could be looking around 200, 300, maybe £400 profit. I'm going here for a simpler figure. I'm going for £125, which is the amount you could get if you sign up for the American Express Platinum Cashback credit card. Gives you 5% back for the first 3 months on your £2,500 of spending, which adds up to 125 quid. So you can do that. You can even just get that card just to get that bonus. And then for ongoing spending, look at the Chase or the Amex Nectar for those spending, because the rate will be slightly higher if you use those cards. But again, add that on already. We're getting totaling up even more money on these different ways just by changing the card you use for your spending. Now, sticking with cashback, so this is slightly different to the others. It doesn't actually relate to your bank, but it still relates to your everyday spending, and it's worth including it because, again, it's another really, really easy way for you to get more money come in. And it might be small amounts each time, same way with that cashback when you're spending, small amounts each time, but over a year, cumulatively, all the money you spend, it really, really does add up. This is using a cashback site. There are two key ones here, Quidco and Top Cashback. There are other options out there as well, but they're the two that I generally would focus on using. Now, how much you earn from these will depend what you buy, how much you spend, okay? So there are some things where you can get a really large amount of cashback. Some things give a really small amount. Top Cashback say that the average member earns £345 a year. So that's what I've gone with. But that could be quite conservative. You may be able to get much, much more than that, particularly if you factor in things like broadband switching and things like that. If you do those, they can be easily like 100 quid extra you can get. So that's a 345 quid you could be earning. And when you use these sites, and I probably should do a cashback special at some point this year as well. So I'll make a note to do that and go into more detail about how these cashback sites work. But with those cards, when you get the money comes in, it can take a while. You can be looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 months before that money reaches you. Just bear that in mind. You can pay it out to your bank account, or if you pay it out instead to a gift card, and ideally a gift card that you're going to be using anyway. So I think when I do this, I use it on supermarket gift cards. You could easily be getting 3, 4, 5% depending on the supermarket. Let's say it was 5%, because you might be able to get more if you went for like a Ticketmaster one or whatever it might be. On that average 345 quid, another 17 quid. So we get all these things over a year. That is a nice chunky amount of money you can get. If you don't use them already, all you're doing is you're going to that site and you're clicking it before you make a purchase. So again, nice extra bits of money to come through. You can also earn cash back on gift cards directly. So rather than with that example I gave you, it's paying your cash back you've earned into a gift card, you can instead just buy a gift card. I talked about this a bit more recently in episode 347 of the show when we had different ways to earn and spend. So listen to that one. But this effectively, let's say you spend £200 a month in the supermarket, or you'll use these gift cards for everyday spending. £200 a month, 4% cashback rate, another 96 quid. So again, you can see how these things, small amounts, really, really, really will add up. So that's a lot of money just from cashback. There was 180 quid on your change in your card for spending. 125 quid potentially is a welcome offer for one of those cashback cards. We had £362 potentially from those different using the cashback sites, and also maybe another 96 quid by using other cashback apps such as Hyperjar and Jam Donut to earn money back on more gift cards you use for your everyday spending. There's another one. We can add another, let's say 25 quid on that, which brings us to, for cashback section, about 783 quid over a year. Again, varies on your spending, but that's roughly where we are. This last bit, this last small bit, you think, well, 25 quid, is it worth it? Those other ones are much more meaty. I'm going to make more from them. Well, yes, and I'll take you why. There's two reasons. First, cashback, and then the next section we're going to go to, it also gives you even more money as a result of that. This is getting another current account, an additional current account called the Santander Edge current account. Now, if you already have a Santander 123 or 123 Lite account, you're probably best sticking with those. But they are no longer open to new customers. If you're starting from scratch, Santander Edge is the one to go for. This will give you 1% cash back on your core bills. So council tax, water, energy, broadband, TV, and mobile, as long as you pay them by direct debit. If you pay anything using your card with a long card number, so like Spotify or Netflix, or maybe some broadband providers like Now, they won't count. But as long as it's listed over on the Santander website, they'll give you 1% back on all of those. And there is a cap on how much you can earn, but most people's bills are not going to be high enough to go anywhere near that. So that could be, again, adding up to a fair amount over the year. The problem with this account, which will reduce how much you earn to, I reckon, around that 25 quid mark, could be more, could be less, is a monthly fee that really, really eats in and brings it down. So there are calculators on the Santander website. And I have looked into this more detail. Again, I've got video and articles which review these in more detail. So check that out if you're interested. But this will, again, add a little bit more. Well worth doing it because we pay these bills anyway, so you may as well earn some money from them. No harm doing it. In fact, having your bills in a separate account, not your main account, is quite a nice budgeting technique as well. So you open this up, have money goes in every single month in order to pay those bills, but also trigger the minimum payment that's needed in there. Money goes in, your bills get paid from that account, you earn the cash back, and next month more money goes in and so on. So it's a good little separation budgeting technique. But where this is also comes in, so not just that cashback total, is once you have this account and that fee has been paid, you're then going to be making a clear profit on savings, because this has 7% paying savings account, which is one of the best ones out there. And that's my next section, how to make that 2,000 in 2024, is to make sure your savings are in the highest paying account they possibly can. And the Santander Edge Saver, which you can only get if you have the Santander Edge current account, although it only gives you interest on balances of up to £4,000, if you do have the full £4,000 in there, at that 7%, you will make 280 quid over the year. That cannot be beaten. That is the best option out there. You could, if you are also going to save on a regular basis, it's well worth looking at a regular saver or a monthly saver. Again, there are different approaches. You can take this one. I'm telling you here now just about the highest paying one. It might not be the best one for you. This is from Nationwide. Their Flex regular saver requires you to have a current account with them. If you do, you can put £200 into that account every single month and you'll get 8%. So that is the best rate out there. Not worth a huge amount over the year, only 105 quid in total if you put that full £200 in. Again, pound for pound, penny for penny, they are the two best accounts for your savings. And I've got a figure here of £385 in interest for the year with those two accounts. Yes, you might have more money than that. You might have less money than that. I'm just giving this a kind of an example. But if you really want to maximize returns, they are the best, highest paying results for you. Okay, so we're doing really well here so far, aren't we? So potentially bank switching, I reckon, could be worth 550 quid if you are new or haven't done that before too often. The bank rewards, easily 230 quid. Again, potentially more if you can open up additional Club Lloyd's joint accounts, things like that. Cash back on spending, the total we've got there, £783 a year. Again, potentially quite conservative if you do spend more money. And interest on savings, 385 quid. Again, potentially could be more if you have more money saved up. We're still not at £2,000 though. We're about 50 quid shy. But I've got one last thing that will put you over the edge there, over the top. And this is to share your banking data. And again, this is something which is really, really simple to do. It's going to take you 5 minutes to do it the first month. And each time you repeat it, again, another 4 or 5 minutes to do that. You can potentially do it 5 times in a year as well, which could be really, really lucrative. But even if you do it 4 times, again, it's still going to get you a nice bit of extra cash. Now, what you do is you get YouGov Finance and you connect your current accounts, credit cards, and savings accounts to this web page. You are sharing that data with them. You will get £5 for each current account and credit card you connect, £1 for every savings account. You can connect up to 10 different accounts at any time. So if you are able to connect 10 current accounts or credit cards, that's 50 quid. Potentially, you can renew this connection officially it's every 3 months you need to reconnect it, but actually you can do it a little bit earlier. If you did it every 10 weeks, then it would be just over a year. You can make 250 quid from this, right? But again, you might not have 10 current accounts and credit cards to connect to it. Let's say you've got 5 because you've opened up some of those reward accounts that we mentioned before and a cashback credit card and stuff. So let's say you've got 5 of these. Let's say you do it every 3 months. Well, that's still going to earn you £100 over the year, which you can pay out to your bank account. You have to get a £50 minimum threshold to do this. So again, you have to if you have less than that, let's say you only have 2 or 3 cards, then it might take you longer to get to that £50. But again, those credit keeps rolling on year after year. Add that in, let's say £100, that gives you a total of £2,048 from each of these things in 2024. Again, remember, it's going to be different for everyone, how much you spend, how many accounts you have, how much you have saved. I think it's a real kind of good guidance, good outline of some simple, easy things that you can do with very, very little maintenance throughout the year. Okay, next up, my deals of the week. So a few deals to share with you this week, which are worth having a look at. Again, details of all of these over at becleverwithyourcash.com/deals. and actually all the other things I've spoken about. If you haven't already visited the website, you haven't already signed up to our weekly newsletter, make sure you do. That's where you're going to find all the things that come along and keep on top of stuff. So the first deal to tell you about is for cinema tickets. There are a couple here. If you are a View cinema goer, you can pick up 10 tickets for £40 or 5 for £22. That's either going to be £4 a ticket or £4 40 a ticket. This is via Groupon. You have to use these by the end of March, though, so don't buy too many if you're not going to be able to use them, and do check for any exclusions as well on certain films or certain locations. Another one which ends this Wednesday on the 10th of January is via Mubi. Mubi is a streaming service. You may already have seen it. Has a lot of indie and European and world cinema on there, but it also has a next level up, another tier above this, which is Mubi Go. So you get access to all those streaming films and so on, but you also get every single week a free cinema ticket. Now, it is for a specific film. So I think last week it was Priscilla. There's a lot of kind of awards-heavy ones at the moment in January, but as the year goes through, there can be some biggish releases, but also some smaller films. If you're a big film fan, good opportunity to discover new things. You won't see the big releases in there. You won't get a Marvel movie in there or anything like that. But the offer for this that runs until Wednesday is a year for £99. So if you were to go every single week, that is a ridiculously cheap way to go to the cinema. Even if you were to go every 2 weeks, that isn't bad. Even once a month, it's all right. It's not too bad, possibly not the best value, but it's well worth having a look. But again, the warning there is you can't choose the film, and also not every cinema, every location will be showing it. So you want to go and get a sense, if you can, of whether, if you're in somewhere in London, it's not going to be any problem. If you're in a small place with just one cinema, then you might have to travel in order to use it. But otherwise, I think that's really, really good value. Now, January is a time when a lot of people do try to cut back on booze. So if that sounds something you're going to be doing, it's well worth looking to see if you can save some money on those low alcohol alternatives. The best one I've spotted is from Beavertown. If you buy a 4-pack of their beer at Sainsbury's and upload the receipt via a special link, which you'll find over at becleveryourcash.com, then you get all those 4 beers for free. Won't cost you anything. There are a limited number of redemptions here, though, so just be careful that you check that offer that is still running before you buy the beers and before you upload the receipt. And just bear in mind that if it does work for whatever reason, you have to pay that amount. But again, it's nice to get those free beers to give them a try. Something else that happens in January is restaurants are very quiet, aren't they? Because a lot of us are kind of cutting back, trying to be a bit healthier after sort of the Christmas gluttony. Well, conversely, because people are cutting back, it's a really good time to eat out because so many places are cutting their prices, offering special deals from big national chains. Franco Manco, for example, is offering £7.50 pizzas throughout the whole of this month, to your local independents. Or some of my places, 50% off Money to Wednesday or a special set meal that's going on. Really, really good value for going out. So it might be that rather than avoiding eating out in January, take advantage of these deals, but maybe February, March, you cut back a lot then when things are back up to their normal prices. So do check social media of your favorites and see what deals they are offering. I want to tell you about a couple of credit card deals to share with you. I did talk about this last week and I covered it in a lot more detail a few months ago in episode 342 of the pod. But the American Express boosted welcome bonus offer, particularly for the Platinum credit card, ends Tuesday, the 9th of January. So you literally have got to act now if you want to take advantage of this. But it could be potentially worth profit of 450, 470 quid plus free annual travel insurance if you stack the different parts of this deal together and meet the different requirements. This is not necessarily a simple one that everyone should go for. In fact, there is a minimum spend of £10,000 in the first 6 months. So it's going to rule out a huge number of people. But if you can get this, if you are eligible for it, and some existing Amex card holders will be able to get this as a welcome bonus, even though the general rules exclude you from the other cards, you might be able to get it on this one. It's well worth having a look. Again, do check out the detailed information they're given on the website, on the YouTube channel, and that previous episode of the podcast before you jump into it. But okay, act fast if you do think you're going to go for it. Another credit card deal to share with you is from Barclaycard. This is for a balance transfer credit card. Balance transfer credit cards are really, really, really good way to reduce the debts on the cost of the debts because you don't charge any interest on them. Again, I did do a recent article video looking at these in a bit more detail in terms of the best credit cards. So check that for a bit more information. General principles of how balance transfers work. But there is an offer right now from Barclaycard up to 29 months balance transfer, which could be quite good. Does have a transfer fee of I think about 3.45%. However, at the moment, if you transfer £2,500 to a new one of these cards, assuming you're accepted, you've done an eligibility search first of all, you're accepted, you will get a £20 cashback. Plus, if you apply for it via Quidco Top Cashback, it's over 19 quid on top. So if you do need a long balance transfer credit card, this is a good way to get a little bit back, reduce effectively the cost of that transfer fee. Of course, if you don't need such a long transfer time balance transfer period card, there are ones which are shorter with no transfer fee, which might work out more economical. And the last deal to share with you here is for people who want to get Which magazine. They currently have a January sale, so it's half price, bringing it down to just under 50 quid for a year of the magazine and its digital accounts. You can log in and check the reviews of tumble dryers and whatever it might be. But if you go via cashback site, Quidco or Top Cashback again, that can knock off a fair chunk again off that one. About £30-35 could be knocked off that, depending on when you apply and which cashback site you go via. That's a really good deal to get that magazine for a year for a very, very low price. But even better, if you stack that, have a look at your American Express offers. If you've got an Amex card right now, a number of those cards will offer you 55% off a Which subscription. So you stack that one again, you could be making money. You could be making a profit and have a year of that magazine. So then have a look at that one, see if you can stack any of those ones together. There you go. My name is Andy Webb. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the show. Back with another one in just 7 days' time. Remember, everything's over at becleverwithyourcash.com. Sign up for our newsletter so you get the best of everything we do every single Thursday. You'll also get, if you've never signed up to Quidco before, you'll get a £18 welcome bonus on top of all the other cashback rates we've spoken about. So win-win for you there if you sign up. Again, see you again soon. Cheers.